everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Now today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this super bulky, super chunky beanie hat. We call it the mentor hat because it makes a great gift to give to anybody who has mentored you through the years, like a teacher, Sunday school teacher, best friend, anyone, or even for yourself that needs a nice chunky hat. Now I do have a cowl that matches this as well, and I'll be getting a brand new video for that up in the next couple days as well, so you can make these for Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, holiday gifts, anytime that you want to. Now this hat is completely adjustable. You make the band and adjust it to the size that you need. Then we stitch the top part, and you can do as many rows that you need before we do our decrease stitches. So it's completely versatile, and it works up super fast because we're using a bulky number 6 yarn. Now you can find this crochet pattern, as always. That link will be down in the notes underneath this video. To make the Mentor super chunky beanie, you're going to need about 5 ounces of a bulky number 6 yarn. For today's demonstration, we're going to be using the Mandala Thick and Quick. The name of this color is called Labyrinth, and you can see it is a bulky number 6. And you need about 5 ounces, depending on how tightly you stitch and how much you adjust the pattern, of course. But you'll need about 5 ounces of a bulky number 6 yarn. And that's the fun part about this hat pattern, is we use this big chunky yarn and it works up super quick. We're going to be stitching today with our 9mm. This 9mm is an N crochet hook. You're going to need a needle that has a nice big hole in it, and that's just for weaving in your ends, and I'll show you how to do that, of course, when we get to that point. Sometimes when you're working in your ends with a thick yarn, you end up using your crochet hook some as well. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, of course. We're going to be starting with the hat band of the hat, and this is where you adjust your length for the hat. All right, let's begin with a slip knot. We're going to chain 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to place a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2. We'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through both loops. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We began in the second chain from the hook, so we have 5 single crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to stitch in the back loops, not all the loops. And if you'll notice, you have loops on this side and loops on this side. We're going to only be stitching in the loops on the back side. So we'll go in that first stitch, back loop, one, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to go ahead and chain 1. And how we adjust this pattern is 2 rows equal approximately 1 inch. And so you're going to need to do 2 rows for each inch of the size hat that you're going to make. I'm going to be making a 20-inch hat today because my head is a little bit smaller around. But you can add more rows. For instance, if you want a 24-inch hat, then you'll add enough rows, 2 per inch, to fit. The other thing to keep in mind is that everyone stitches differently, and measure as you go. Have your tape measure on hand and measure as you go. All right, so I'm going to continue working my hat band. We're going to chain 1, turn, single crochet in the back loops of those 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn, and repeat for as many rows as you need for the size hat that you're making. Now, I'm making a 20-inch hat, so I'm going to need 40 rows. I have completed my 40 rows, stitching 1 single crochet in each of the back loops, chain 1 and turn, and you can see you get a nice stretchy band for your hat. When you've done the amount that you think that you need for your hat, it's a good idea to grab that tape measure and measure and make sure that it's the length that you need. All right? Because sometimes some people stitch tighter than others, some stitch looser, and the most important part of making this hat fit is that the band fits nicely, a little bit snugly around your head. Once you've done enough rows where your band is as long as you want it, we're going to put the 2 ends together and we're going to slip stitch them closed. So we'll go through the first stitch here and the first stitch here and stitch a slip stitch. Go in here, here, pull up a loop, then pull that loop through the loop on your hook. And you don't want to do that too snugly. There's 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to chain 3. And this chain 3 is going to count as 1 stitch. Now when you look at this, you can see that blends right in with the ridges that we have on our hat band. Now for this next row, we're going to be stitching a double crochet in the ends of each of those rows. You're going to stitch a double crochet in the top of that bump. Then you'll stitch a double crochet in the top of that, what I call an indentation. Now, you want to make sure that you don't stitch in a hole. At the top of the ridge, you have a nice place to put your stitch. On the indentation, I want you to put your stitch in between those loops that are right there on that edge. That loop there. That way you don't have a hole in between. 1 double crochet in the end of each of those rows. Now let me show you, if I were to put my stitch in that hole, it would look like this and leave a hole. And we don't want that on our hat right there. So you'll put your stitch, your double crochet, in between those loops that are right there on that edge. And so you're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the end of each of your rows. And if you stitched 40 rows like I did, you'll have 40 stitches, 40 double crochets, plus the chain 3 here where we did our slip stitches to close our band. All right, so I'm going to have a total of 41. So however many rows that you have, your stitch count for this row will be that plus the 1 for the slip stitch row. So 1 double crochet in each end of the rows, working all the way around, and we'll join back to our chain 3. I have completed that row of double crochet all the way around, and I'm going to join to the top of that chain 3, and I'm going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This chain 4 will count as a double crochet chain 1. We're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet in the next stitch and chain 1. And this is our repeat for this next row. Skip the next double crochet, double crochet in the next, and chain 1, and repeat. Skip, double crochet, chain 1, and we'll do this all the way around our hat. Double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, working all the way around the band, or our hat, however you want to call it. We're not working on the band anymore. And that's our repeat for this row. Double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, working all the way around, and then we'll join back to that chain 3. So I've repeated that all the way around. Double crochet, chain 1, skip 1. Here's my last double crochet, chain 1, and I'm going to join to the third chain of that chain 4 with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in the first chain 1 space and chain 4. All right, now for this row, we're going to double crochet in the next chain 1 space and chain 1 and repeat. Double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. And we'll repeat this, working all the way around this row. Double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. Double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. And again, we're going to repeat this all the way around and join back to our chain 3. So again, I have completed that row. Double crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and repeat. Here's my last double crochet in the chain 1 space and chain 1. I'm going to join to the third chain with a slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch in the chain 1 space and chain 4. And again, the chain 4 counts as a double crochet, chain 1. And now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this row 3 more times. So we have 5 rows of this mesh stitch. So we'll double crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and repeat. And we will repeat this row 3 more times. I have repeated those 3 rows, so I have 5 rows of the mesh stitches. Now, this is all the taller I want my hat to be, and then we're going to do our decreased rows. If you want your hat to be taller or longer, maybe you want it to be, say, a slouchy style hat, you can do as many rows of this as you would like. I'm just making a basic beanie, and so I only need those 5 rows. All right, now on your last join, we joined with the slip stitch, we slip stitched in our chain 1 space, and we only chained 3 this time. Get that string out of the way there. We didn't chain 4, we only chained 3, and that counts as 1 double crochet. This row we're going to begin decreasing, and so what we're going to do is we're only going to stitch a double crochet in each of those chain 1 spaces. No chain 1 in between. So we'll just go to the next double crochet, we'll just go to the next chain 1 space and stitch a double crochet. No chain 1 spaces between the double crochets. So 1 double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces. This way we don't have to do any of the decreased stitches. We're just decreasing by not stitching the chain 1s in between. So all the way around, 1 double crochet in each of the chain 1 spaces around. So I have stitched a double crochet in each of the chain one spaces, no chain ones in between, and you can see that it's already pulled the hat in a little bit. We're going to join to our chain 3 and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now on this row we're going to be alternating double crochets and stitching 2 double crochets together, and that's just going to bring that hat in a little bit more. So we have our chain 3 here, so we're going to stitch the next 2 double crochets together. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, go in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 3 loops, yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. That way we decreased by 1 stitch. 1 double crochet in the next, and then we'll stitch the next 2 together. And this is our repeat for this row. 1 double crochet in the next, and stitch the next 2 double crochets together. And see how that's even pulling that hat in more? All right. Double crochet. Oh, I got a string there. There we go. In the next, and stitch the next 2 together. We'll continue this the rest of the way around, and then we'll be ready to finish up the hat. I've completed that row. Here's my last 2 together. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch, and now I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave about a 12 to 18 inch tail of yarn. We're going to use this to gather the top of the hat closed. So let's go ahead and tie that off. We're going to turn the hat wrong side out because we want to gather it from the inside. Now, you can use your crochet hook to pull it through, but if you have a needle with a nice big eye on it, that will work even better. But both ways will work. Sometimes it's difficult to find a needle with a nice big eye. All right, so what we're going to do, here's our opening. And we're just going to take that needle and go in and out those last stitches at the top. Let me go under that one. There we go. And see how I'm just kind of going in and out of those loops? Because we want to gather the top closed. Gently closing until we get back around where we started. There we go. We want to pull it nice and tight. Try to pull those loops to the back. And I like to go across like this. Give it a nice good pull and then go across this way. And then before I secure that, I like to turn it over, look at it, making sure there's no hole in the center. And then I can attach that. Go under some of these stitches. There we go. I'm going to cut that down just a little bit so I can tie a little knot. And I'm going to leave this for now because I'm going to show you how to add a pom-pom real quick. But here's the hat. And I love this hat, by the way. This is a great gift hat. And I also have a cowl that matches this. I'm going to show you how to do that in the next day or two. So I'll be looking for that. But I'm going to also right now show you how to make a super floppy pom-pom to add to our hat. Because I used a striping yarn and I have lots of different shades in this hat, I wanted to make sure that my pom-pom reflected those different colors. And so I cut some spots in my yarn that I had left. I just have a little bit left here. And I'm going to wrap that around my hand. Now you can use just one strand and wrap if you want to. And I usually wrap about 30 times around my hand. So I'm probably just going to do about 10 or 12 since I have 3 strands here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like I have a knot here. 7, 8. And that's enough since I have so many colors and I've got a knot. And I don't want to deal with that right now because I want this to be a loose pom-pom. And so I have a nice big circle there. I'm going to put my piece that I have cut ahead of time. And of course, you can add as many strands to your pom-pom as you like. I just like to have it kind of loopy. I call this pom-pom style a tassel pom-pom because it is rather loose, and not loose in the tying, but it's not a tight, puffy pom-pom. All right, so I'm going to cut those first. Okay, so I cut the loops, and I'm just going to cut some of these so they're about even. I don't care if they're not perfectly even, but I want them to be a little bit even. All right, so I love that. There's my pom-pom. And again, you can add more strands if you want it to be a thicker pom-pom. I just want it to be loose. All right, so I'm going to take my hook. I'm going to go up in that last row that we did. And I'm going to pull one of the strands through one side of that row. Got caught on a string. There we go. And then I'll just go to the other side and pull the other string. Alrighty, so there's our strings. Here's my other one. And so what I'm going to do first is make sure the pom-pom is secure, nice and tight. And then I'll add this string to this string and tie a knot. And that's going to help that pom-pom stay put. Guess I could have left that string a little bit longer, huh? There we go. Nice tight knot. And then I'll just cut that. And now our hat has this silly floppy pom-pom on the top that has all the colors that I made in the hat.